It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
I love the Millionaire Next Door formula and the fact that it does give you a chance to spot check or see where you are. And just a refresher, because I totally botched it up because I'm not as good at math as you, obviously.
Not true.
You might want to clip that and record it, keep it for later. But you take your age, multiply it by your gross income, divide it by 10, or if you're smart like Bo, you multiply it by 10%. It's the same thing. I love this formula because it does give you some feedback. But I know when I look at this for myself as well as clients, sometimes when you're in your 20s and 30s, think about a doctor, or think about somebody who's learning a skill set. You might not make a ton of money when you're in your 20s, even in your 30s, because you're still building that experience and expertise. You haven't come into your own.
Nor do you have a lot of discretionary income for saving either.
So my opinion on the Millionaire Next Door formula, I like it when you're 40 and over.
Okay.
So I like what you're doing with the Bureau of Labor Statistic data and trying to figure out where you are. But I think where it really adds value is 40 plus. Because at this point, when you are in your 40s, you're making money. Yeah. I mean, you should be. That's why I try to give life advice to people all the time, is that try to figure out everything that you need to for your career by the time you're 40, because there's all kind of weird things. And that's why I titled this group the Sentimental 40s. I'm in this. I'm middle of this, actually. And, Bo knows, because we've been talking about it on the show. Didn't even mean to say it that way. But, Bo knows that since I crossed 40, that, I mean, I have gotten more sentimental. And I think that the reason this happens is because when you cross into your 40s, you start recognizing, okay, I'm not going to be here forever. I mean, and that's not a negative thing. Right. I think it's wisdom, actually, is that you know that you're not going to be here forever. So you start focusing on relationships. Yep. You start focusing on, what do I need to be doing to create memories? Because here's the truth for me, and I think it's for a lot of people, especially if you're a driven person. So much of your 20s and 30s is about attack, because you're just trying to make your place in life. Yep. When you get to your 40s, you take inventory of where things are, and you realize, okay, I'm no longer a warrior. I'm now kind of settling in to realizing that we're not here forever, and there is something bigger than just conquering goals.
Sure.
It's about being generous and making sure that my life reflects where I want to be.
Sure.
And so that's why I kind of transitioned into Sentimental 40s. And the fact that I want you, number one, I'd put here was take inventory. This is the perfect time where you can do that Millionaire Next Door equation, because I think that it is more in line. By the time you're in your 40s, you've had the experience to work it, so you can work that out. You also have the ability that when you're doing this formula, I want to go through another limitation, because a lot of you guys, like I've already told you, what if you started hitting your stride in your mid 30s, in your late 30s, early 40s, where your income is going up, say, 6 figures a year?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I know that sounds great. So if you look at this and you say, okay, if I multiply it by my income last year,
it just gets real big real fast.
It gets ridiculous what it says my net worth should be. I would tell you, if your income is going up rapidly, level it out. Do a 3-year average, so that way it reflects it. But then also, here's the other thing on taking inventory. Do a net worth. You could actually start this in your 20s or 30s, but it becomes imperative by the time you're in your 40s. You need to be doing an annual net worth statement. You need to be tracking what's going on. So every year you can go back, and it actually will turn into something that is very fun for you. And the fact that you can go back and say, how much did my liquid assets increase? How much did my debt go down last year? How much did my net worth increase? And then it has this side benefit that you can share it with your spouse or your loved ones in case you are the financial manager of your household and they don't keep up with it as much as you. You at least can leave them a trail of crumbs.
Yeah.
So if something should happen to you, you got them covered.
That's right.
And this is also the time where you have a chance to save for financial independence. When you're in your 40s, you don't have to go, oh my goodness, I haven't saved enough. I mean, I think in the 40s, you still have the ability to start saving. I mean, when I look at what it is to have compounding interest deconstructed, when I look at a 40-year-old, they need to save $754 a month to reach it to millionaire status by the time they're 65. A 50-year-old has to start saving $2,413 a month. Yep. So you can see that somewhere in your 40s, you still have the potential for your money to grow, but it's only going to provide 60 to 70% of your growth versus 80 to 90% of your growth.
What I'm hearing you say, Brian, is that in your 20s and 30s, there's sort of a bigger margin of safety. You can kind of accidentally do those well. In your 40s, if you are someone who's maybe not where you think you ought to be, you do have to be very intentional and very deliberate in how much you're saving and why you're saving it.
Discipline is definitely going to come into play. It's not one of those things you're going to stumble into success if you've waited until your 40s.
Sure.
Number 2, are you doing enough to create fulfillment and joy in your life? And this is one of those things where making sure you're creating those memories. Do you know what brings you happiness? Is it travel? Is it a hobby? I mean, and I know that it sounds silly for you to listen to a financial podcast and us to talk about these type of touchy-feely things, but this is the age where you realize it is more than just the goals. There's actually, you have to get into the philosophical stuff if you're going to do it right.
And wouldn't you agree, Brian, that, at being financial advisors, one of the most fulfilling parts of our job is when we do get to meet with clients who've done a great job saving, or maybe they're still in that accumulation phase, and they are set up to pay themselves first, and they're doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing. We can step in and sort of relieve them of the guilt that they feel spending money or going on that expensive trip or upgrading the car. We can be that voice that says, hey, it's okay. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You can now do some of these things that you want to start doing.
I think it's an important thing. I talk about this. You guys, you're listening to a financial podcast or you're watching us on YouTube, and a lot of you guys become really good at saving money. One of the things when you develop such a good skill set and you see how well your money's working for you, it is hard to become a person that consumes and spends.
Sure.
But I will tell you that this is the age when you're in your 40s. If you've done everything right in your 20s and 30s, this is the deal I've had to make with my family members. And I've shared this with clients as well as podcast listeners, is that this is the time where you can start. If you check the boxes when you're in your 20s and 30s, it is okay. I feel like sometimes, like I just got back from Thanksgiving. We took the whole family down to Orlando, had my in-laws down there, my mother down there, had nieces and nephews. And it was nice that I was able to cover a lot of the stuff that went on down there
without feeling like you were sacrificing.
But here's the deal I made with my wife. I told her if we lived this way in our 20s and 30s, by the time we got in our mid-40s, I would pull back on the throttle, and I'm worried I'm going to lose my card for being a tightwad. I mean, but it is one. But this is why you do it in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
Is so that you can do these fulfilling things that are going to make you very happy in the future. What's the spot check on these 40-year-olds?
Yeah, so if you look at the average income for folks that are from age 40 to 49, for individuals, it's somewhere between $49,000 and $52,000. So for a household, that's $100,000 to $110,000 a year. If you want to be a prodigious accumulator of wealth by the end of your 40s, your individual net worth should be somewhere around $512,000. And then this is kind of key, and it ties in very nicely. For a couple, your total household net worth should be closing right in on that $1 million mark by the end of your 40s.